everyone, it's Christina from the DIYmommy.com, and today I want to show you how to make a beautiful jewelry holder from a thrifted spoon rack. Today is a collaboration with Shannon from the Daily DIYer. If you have never checked out her channel, you're in for a treat. Make sure to click somewhere up here and down in that description box below to see what she made for under $10 for her thrift flip, and make sure to subscribe to her channel as well. Here's Shannon.
Hi everyone, my name is Shannon. I have a DIY YouTube channel called The Daily DIYer where I bring you new DIYs, tutorials, and new inspiration every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I hope that after you're finished watching Christina's amazing tutorial today that you'll hop on over to my channel and see the project that I have for you as well and come say hello.
So I can't wait to see what Shannon does. I have no idea what she's doing yet. What I am doing today is taking a $4.99 vintage spoon holder and turning it into a jewelry holder. Now let me share with you this fantastic thrift flip. Let's get started. So I headed to Valley Village the other day knowing that I wanted to create some sort of upcycled jewelry organizer for my bedroom. And when I saw this vintage spoon rack for only $4.99 Canadian, I knew this would be the perfect piece to do a DIY on. So what I loved about this piece was that it had this intricate carving. I loved the shape, and I loved that it already had these indentations on it that I thought would be perfect for necklaces. So I just took out some of the necklaces that I had. Lots of the necklaces I have are really long, so I thought I would use the bottom rack, and I thought I would use the top two for earrings and then medium-sized necklaces. So then I thought I would remove the second last one because that would get in the way of my medium-sized necklaces. So I took a pair of pliers and I just started prying that piece off, and it came off. It was attached with staples and some glue. And then I took this little hand knife and I just took some of the excess wood splinters and the glue off with this knife. So it's really going to depend what kind of spoon rack you find and what kind of construction that it has. You'll have to, alter it as needed with whatever tools that you have on hand. And then after I did that, I pried out the staples with another set of pliers. And the good thing about this upcycle is I'm going to paint it, so I knew that if there was any wood damage, I could just fill it and paint it and it would look just perfectly fine. Then after that, I sanded the part that I removed that rack from, and I just love using these little sanding sponges. They work really well. Then I took this crud cutter and I first found that there was this little wire attached to the top of this spoon rack, and I just took some wire cutters and I cut that wire off because obviously I did not want that on my finished piece. And then once that was removed, I took this crud cutter. I love how it just degreases things, and it also takes off all the old gunk that was on this piece for however many years it's been around. Sprayed it on some paper towel and then wiped the whole piece with the crud cutter. I've also used Windex to take off old crud and grease and gunk off of things, but I do love this crud cutter. I think it works probably the best for taking really gross stuff off of antiques and vintage finds, so I will leave a link to it in the description box below. So after I cleaned this whole piece off, I took this wood filler. This is by Varathane. It was just some extra wood filler I had on hand, and I filled the little holes and cracks that I had made by removing that piece. So you could use a mini trowel or just do what I do and use your finger. Just make sure that you wash your hands thoroughly afterwards. This is kind of a cheater's method. And then after that was dry and sanded, I took this Rust-Oleum chalked paint and I gave the whole piece a nice coat of chalked paint with a regular brush. So what I like about chalk style paint is that it's thick, so it goes on really easily. It goes on quickly, it covers very well. And then I also knew that I wanted to distress this piece. So I wanted to sand this piece down after, and chalked paint sands down beautifully if you want to distress a piece. I used one of my daughter's tiny little brushes to go in those little indentations in the rack part of this piece because I wanted to make sure everything was white before I went ahead and distressed it. So this part took a little bit of time, but again, because the chalked paint is very thick, it covers well. So I did one coat, let that dry, and did a second coat, and I thought that covered just fine over this dark wood. So overall, the painting process didn't take too long at all. And I didn't think it had to be perfect because I was going to distress the whole piece anyhow. So then once that was completely dry, I took another sanding sponge and I went ahead and sanded the whole piece lightly. And then I went along the edges of the piece with a sanding sponge and sanded those a little more heavy so that you could see some of the details on this piece. So this is one way that you can distress a piece and make it look old and worn, but old and worn in a way that I wanted to. So I love the French country farmhouse look, and this piece is going in my bedroom, which is very French country farmhouse. So I thought distressing these pieces, these parts of the spoon rack would look really nice in my space. I particularly liked the top and bottom of this piece, and I knew they would look so fantastic distressed. So I'll just show you what it looks like when I'm sanding over all the pieces here. So you basically just sand over all the parts that would naturally get worn, like the corners and the edges, and also all of these carving pieces here. So look, after I sand and distress this top part, how wonderfully this detail stands out now. I just love it. Then I took some earrings that I have and I just kind of matched them up on that top rack to see where I wanted my holes for the earrings. Took a very small drill bit and my drill and drilled some holes into the top of that top rack on the spoon rack. So the reason I just took that earring is because I wanted to make sure that the holes were the right distance from the edge to the center to make sure that my earrings would fit, and they do. So I really just eyeballed this and I drilled holes about the same distance from the edge as the first one I drilled. You could, do the right thing and measure if you want to, but I thought eyeballing worked pretty well in this case. So I'm just drilling in between every single one of these indents in this top rack part of my spoon rack. If you don't have a drill, you could probably do something like take a nail and hammer it through and then pull it out, but a drill definitely makes light work of this project. I was considering doing something like putting some mesh or some lace or something in between the top and bottom piece of this rack for my stud earrings, but then I thought it'd be too hard to remove earrings in the middle of that piece, so I decided just to do this for my hanging earrings, and I think it turned out really well in the end. So here's how all of those holes look. Finally, once I was done that, I took a tack cloth, which is like a really sticky cloth, and wiped off all the dust. And the reason I drilled the holes after I painted was because chalked paint is very thick and I didn't want the thick paint to cover up the holes. I thought perhaps I was going to put like a black chain on top of this, but then in the end I went just with some good old Dollar Tree twine to be the top hanging piece of my jewelry holder. Just because, again, I like that rustic farmhouse look, and this is going in my bedroom, so I thought it would match the best. So I just cut a piece to the size I wanted and I just tied it very securely with a square knot on either side of my spoon rack. These holes were already there, so it worked out really well. You could also anchor this to your wall with some of those command picture hanging strips and then have this piece as more of a decorative piece. It's totally up to you as to how secure you want this jewelry holder to be. And that is basically all I did to the spoon rack to make it how I wanted it to look as a jewelry holder in my bedroom. This project took me really less than a day to do, and I'm so happy with it, especially for $4.99. And I had the paint and I had the sanding sponges and everything on hand, so that was all free to me. If you don't have paint on hand, you can make your own chalked style paint. I will leave a link to that in the description box below if you want a recipe for that. You could use latex paint, you could use any sort of paint you have on hand, distress it, not distress it. There are so many things you could do to make your own custom jewelry holder out of a spoon rack. I really love how this turned out. Everything fits so perfectly. I know I had mentioned in my bedroom decor video last week that I really needed some jewelry organization. And when I saw this spoon rack in the thrift store, I knew this would be the perfect piece. So now I can see all of my necklaces and my earrings in one spot, and I'm hoping I won't lose them as easily as I've done before. It's just a great way to have everything all in one place. Plus, it looks so beautiful in my bedroom. Thanks so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed this transformation. Let me know down in those comments below what you think or what you would do differently to this spoon rack to make it a jewelry holder for your own space. Again, make sure to check out Shannon, the Daily DIYers video. I will leave it up here and down in that description box below. I can't wait to see what you need. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more DIY and decor ideas, and I'll see you guys all again in the next video. Bye.